stoned to death for blasphemy. Nigeria's rising intolerance. Rising religious intolerance in northwestern Nigeria has culminated in the brutal stoning to death of a man named Usman Buddha accused of blasphemy, igniting outcry from human rights groups concerned about escalating threats to religious freedom. Ahmad Rufahi, a police spokesperson, recounted the grim event, explaining that Buddha was attacked during an argument with a fellow trader, in which he allegedly assaulted the Prophet Muhammad and was left unconscious by a mob before dying at a local hospital. Videos showing the shocking event involving children openly participating in the attack were circulated on social media. So Sokoto State's Governor Ahmed Aliyu stressed the individuals should not enact vigilante justice, but also emphasized his government's intent to quote unquote deal decisively with anyone guilty of blasphemy. Uh, Isa Sanusi, acting director of International Nigeria, expressed a deep concern over the lack of effective government intervention, stating, "This is very dangerous, and it shows the Nigerian authorities are deliberately not willing to do the right thing to fix this dangerous situation." So, yeah, this is horrible. We have a situation. So I'll give our background. Based on what we know that there was this man and he was a traitor and he was having an argument with another traitor and this other traitor accused him of insulting the Prophet Muhammad. And this resulted in just a mob coming to attack him and just stoning him just straight up in public, like in the middle of the street. And Armin, we do have videos of it happening in this article. So do not play what's on Twitter. Do not play what is on Twitter. I watched it, and in the videos, he is still alive because it's crazy. Like watching a stoning is so crazy. Um, he's like fallen onto
I
the
saw this
ground
one.
and there are
I
people
the
still
kids.
throwing
I saw this one. This is the one the kids pick. The kids participate.
the kids are stoning him.
There's a random kid that is walking by and they sees everyone stoning and the kid picks up a stone and throws at him as well. Like what the hell?
Yeah. Yeah. So, um, yeah, it's really brutal. And then at the end of the video, he's like struggling to stand up. He like falls down, he gets back up, and then right before the video cuts off, there's someone that takes like all you see is someone with a giant piece of wood come up from him behind and like start to swing down upon his head, and then the video cuts. Um, so he was attacked by this mob and then they just left him for dead. Eventually he was taken to hospital and then he died in this hospital. And people are saying that as much as the government says that they're going to do something about it, they're probably not going to do anything about it. Because last year we covered the story of a Christian woman named Deborah Samuel, and Deborah Samuels was lynched on her college campus and burned to death by her fellow college students for alleged blasphemy. That happened last year, and there have been like no consequences for that event. And I believe it happened um, in a close by area as well. I could be wrong, but I believe it happened in the same area near Sokoto. Um, and it's I don't have to tell anyone. This is obviously extremely distressing. This is mob justice. This is vigilante justice. This is just brutality, right? Should just be stoned in the middle of this street, just in public by everyone in your own community. It's horrific. Um, and firstly, I would just like to reiterate, as always, the words and offense or ripping a piece of paper are they ever worth this pain, misery, and suffering and death? Are they really ever worth that? And also, if we live in communities and countries where we have the privilege to express our disagreement towards these ideologies with safety, I think we have a duty to do so because there are other people that live in communities that can't under pain of death, right? Or there are people who still issue their criticisms in the face of threats of death. And oh my gosh, I mean, it's just well, there was a prominent Nigerian cleric that had a reaction that I would like to give his reaction and then have Armin respond to it. But before I do that, Armin, do you want to respond to anything that I've said so far?
I do want to read some of the comments that Dee included. Um, I also want to remind people that Nigeria has so much potential, and the main problem right now in Nigeria from to and this might come off as biased because we are saying this on an atheist channel, but what I'm telling you is something that you hear on a lot of analysis on Nigeria that is not atheism and religion focused.
Mm,
So, and from those sources, what I'm hearing is that this level of instability, okay, this and lack of ability to rein in on this level of radicalism
mm,
is what's holding back Nigeria. Nigeria is the main country in Africa. It has a lot of potential. It has a lot of people that are entrepreneurs and eager for growth. And it has a lot of talent. It has a lot of educated people. And it has a major population that is going to go, I think, from the seventh in the world to the fourth in the world in the near future. And it has a young population, and it has all the elements that it needs to lift not just Nigeria economically up, but the entirety of Africa. And all of that is being held back because of religious radicalism.
mm,
So when we tell you guys that among all activism, atheist and secular activism needs to be taken more seriously on a global scale, it's not just because we're like haters of religion. It's genuinely ruining people's lives in more ways than just stoning people. So I just want you guys to understand how important this movement is and how low of an attention it's getting. The atheist activism world is how it's not getting the attention that it deserves, given how far how damaging the effects of religion are on people's lives right now. Another thing I wanted to point out is one thing when you were talking about these people are traders and they had some issues with each other. It seemed like, I don't know, but how easy it is in Pakistan or in Nigeria to get out of an economic difficulty with somebody or settle a disagreement by just accusing the other person of blasphemy. If I was, for example, I don't know, in Pakistan or in Bangladesh or in Nigeria, if I owed, for example, somebody a lot of money, I bet you it would cross my mind to just accuse them of blasphemy.
oh my god,
Given how,
especially if they're part of a religious minority,
yes,
it'd be such an easy way to get out of any debt you owe that person.
yes, and given how quick the mob is to just hear the accusation and go with it, and we have seen that many times that's all they needed, a rumor. Like they didn't need actually to see that happened. A rumor was enough to get the mob
And the
started.
mob will create their own narrative. They don't need to know the
Yeah.
facts.
Yeah.
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 I
What are you
would love, so there was a prominent Nigerian cleric who was speaking on television and had some comments about this. And Armin, I would love to get your reaction to his statements. So I'll just read some of them off. Abdul Ghani said, they are misunderstanding Islam. They are engaging in what we call jungle justice, which is not known to Islam. And then I'll skip forward a bit. Um, it is not, again, he said, quote, and it is not enough to say because the person who said, I am not no longer a Muslim, the next thing you do is to call people around to come and kill him, stone, or come set him ablaze because he has renounced Islam. That is not it. What the Quran says is that even if you sit in a gathering where Allah or his prophet is being blasphemed, what you should do is leave. You should leave that community, not that you can go and kill that people. It basically, he literally says that it is not your place to say that if someone renounces Islam that they shouldn't be killed.
Well, technically, what he's saying is true and false at the same time. Because if somebody is like doing saying blasphemous stuff, I can find you Quranic verses that tells you to just move away from their presence. Okay. But I could also find you Quranic verses and a ton of hadiths that will tell you that nope, you have to destroy them. You have to annihilate these people, right? So the way, so that seems like like a lot of people are like, well, okay, well then go with the nicer one because you have a version that says you just move away, and also enough. And again, this is scripture. Scripture is obviously from an atheistic from our perspective, at least from an atheist perspective, you could be like, well, of course these are contradictory because these are not divine. These are multiple texts that were created independently and then stitched together like a Frankenstein monster, right? And that's why you could see like different things in different places. But the way a lot of Islamic scholars interpret this is like, well, when you don't have the power, you move away, but once you have the control, then you crush them, right?
Well,
You
and then they could
have,
even say that, oh, even in that context, there's a judicial process and there's rulings, and it's not just a mob going after you.
well,
And they
no,
have
I
the
mean,
chance
so
to
here's the,
repent.
yeah. So again, there's different views on this, but some of the official viewings and mainstream scholarship that is done on this is that, so if you don't have the power, then you move away. If you have the power and the government, then you need like a proper court. You can't just do vigilante justice, and there will be a shura, there will be hearings, and then they will execute the guy. But then there's another view is like, if you know that the government is not going to do its job and you have the power, then there are enough scripture to say that you should do it yourself.
Oh, and
Again,
that's literally what we see in Pakistan.
yeah, so again, it depends. I mean, it's scripture. I could get whatever the hell I want from it if I needed to. That's the problem with scripture. You have excuses when you don't have the upper hand. You could act like you are lovey-dovey nice and do interpretation of the verses in the way you want, and then when you do have the upper hand, all of a sudden all those other hadiths and all those other Quranic verses, which you said meant something before, now means something else. And that's the problem with religion because it's flexible like that. But yeah, so there's
Yeah.
that.
Asian American gave us a super chat and he said,
No,
they really
nice.
said meme lives matter more than human lives. It's true. Guys, when you see situations like this, just think of religion as a meme. That's really what it is. Yeah. And it
Exactly.
matters more than things that can actually feel pain and suffering and
Mm.
misery, like humans and animals. Um, And I just like this. Peter Biggerson is saying, thank you, Armin. I really love your perspective here.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that, Peter.
Drewzilla is reminding everyone to hit that like button. If you're here, you're hanging out with us, you're having a good time, please hit that like button. It's a great way to support this channel. And also, guys, make sure to subscribe because we are approaching 40K. And I really want us to hit 40K. That's a big goal. That's a big goal. So, guys, please subscribe, join our community, stay around for a while, and join the global secular movement. And Watcher gave us another super chat. Thank you. Saying, I sent Bernardo's contact info and 2 extra suggestions. I'll have my popcorn ready if anything happens, and the debates would not be about religion. Interesting. Very, very interesting.
Okay.
So
Sounds
thank you,
good.
Watcher. I'll make sure to check my Discord DMs.